Let's be honest, Mitch literally needs to go. Day 11 in Love Island All-Stars, and Chris decided for some reason to tell Arabella that he's fancied Sophie for quite a while now. Now, I know that he told her that he was going to be honest, but all he had to say was, oh, we really got on, I think she's a really nice girl, we're going to have some chats. He didn't have to say, oh, I've liked her for some time. Obviously, she's going to feel as if she's no competition to her now. And I really like Chris and I do appreciate his honesty, but he did take it a bit too far. Then when he told Arabella that he thought they should dial it back on the kissing in PDA, she wasn't too happy about it, but I totally get where he's coming from. If he's speaking to two girls, he doesn't want to go and kiss one and then go and speak to the other one, because if he did do that, he would be called snaky, but because he doesn't want to do it, they all think he's a dick. Later, when Sophie asked Chris to go for a chat, she grabbed his wrist and he said, oh, you're going to hold my wrist like a child, and then held her hand and they walked straight past Arabella, which I did think was a bit out of order. But then later when Arabella was talking to her about it, she says, oh, I don't know how that happened, he grabbed my hand. Why do these people forget the main details? Why didn't she say, oh, I grabbed his wrist just to take him over for a chat and then he took my hand because he didn't want his wrist being grabbed? But instead, these women make everything out to be the man's fault. It fucking drives me insane. When Chris and Arabella were having a chat and she was trying to tell him how she was feeling, and he was getting put off by her because she was being emotional and he doesn't like people to overreact, which is understandable. But then she started raising her voice at him and he was just like, if you're going to raise your voice, I can't speak to you. And I totally get that, because I can't speak to somebody when they're shouting at me either. If somebody's shouting at me, I'm literally just like, I can't hear what you're saying. Lower your voice or take yourself to fuck. So in the space of one day, they two have went from being so cute together, going on such a nice date, and me thinking that they were going to be together forever and have babies, to him now saying that he likes somebody for ages and he doesn't want to kiss her anymore. A lot changes in a day. The night before, we seen Anton speaking to Liberty and Kaz and saying that he didn't trust Mitch because all he talks about is clout and he thinks that's the only reason he's in the house. So obviously Liberty was upset and she was speaking to Mitch and she was telling him about it. And he says, oh, who was it that said that about me? And she's like, oh, I don't want to say. It took her about 30 seconds to spill the beans. But before she told him, she says, promise you won't say anything, promise. And he's like, right, I promise. He then immediately stood up and walked over to Anton and confronted him about it. And when he was saying to him, oh, you went against bro code and all that, bro code, are we in primary 6? So Anton says, oh, there isn't any bro code. She asked for my opinion and I was honest. They want me to go against my values and beliefs. Fair enough to Anton, right? It's not as if he's trying to get into Liberty. So he was only being honest. He told her his honest opinion and he hadn't done anything wrong. And Mitch was just being a complete dick, right? But then the worst it was, Liberty was sitting and she seen them arguing. And she was like, oh, I think I caused that. No, you didn't cause it. He fucking caused it. He promised that he wasn't going to say anything and then he done it. If somebody can't even keep a secret for 1 minute, then they can't be trusted. They just simply can't be trusted. Liberty should have stood up and went over to Mitch and says, do you know what, you can't even fucking keep a secret. I can't trust you to do anything. Take yourself to fuck. You're sleeping outside the night, dickhead. Georgia S was speaking to Callum and she was telling him that she quite likes Tom. However, she was saying, oh, I missed you. Did she look as if she missed him? And she was like, oh, I would like a hug. And then when she immediately sat on Tom's knee, literally she was sitting with him through dessert and she can't stay off his knee for 10 minutes. Shut the fuck up, Georgia. Arabella was obviously in a huff because she's seen Chris and Sophie holding hands. Understandably, she's going to be upset. But then she was talking about Josh all of a sudden. Now, I know that we don't see every single aspect to their day, right? But I don't remember her being interested in Josh at all. And all of a sudden, she's like, oh, we're really into each other. We're constantly eye-fucking. When does this happen? She took Josh for a chat and she was saying to him, oh, I think the two of us are the most sexual in the house. And he's like, oh, definitely. A pure sleazebag, right? He was actually giving me the book. And he's like, oh, definitely, I love sex. And she's like, so do I. Obviously, you're going to love it. Do you know what I mean? And the thing that confuses me is that she's like, oh, he must be really sexual and all that. Because to me, he just comes across as a sleazebag. And he does talk about sex quite a lot. But she obviously doesn't realise that people who constantly talk about sex and their accomplishments and how good they are the people that actually don't have a fucking clue. That's why they say, look out for the quiet ones. When they were getting ready at night and all the girls were in the dressing room, I thought Arabella looked absolutely stunning, right? I know the pure going, like, oh, nobody's safe when she's in, like, she's so stunning and all that. I think she's a model, right? Personally, I've never looked at her and thought she was stunning. But last night when she had her wavy hair and she had all black on and everything, I was like that, wow, she really is quite breathtaking. Georgia H took Anton for a chat and she was trying to explain the situation. Now, I admire the fact that she was trying to be honest with him and not lead him on, but the poor guy was sitting there, right, you could see the confusion on his face, and I know that I'm always saying he's a compulsive liar because he had a girlfriend and all that, but I genuinely think that he's a nice, genuine guy, and I couldn't help but feel bad for him, because she's like, oh, it's nothing you've done, like, I lead you on, and then when you come back and you give me attention, I start to get the ick and I start to pull away. And he's just like, that's fine, we can take it slow and all that. And I was just like, I feel so bad for him, right? And he's not ugly, let's face it. Okay, he's a bit muscly now, right? But he is quite attractive. And I just don't understand why he's finding it so difficult to find people in there. Is it because he comes across as such a nice guy and they're all wanting guys that are just dicks and talk about sex all the time? When Arabella was talking to Chris and she was saying, oh, 2 new people came in since we paired up and I didn't give them any attention. And Chris was like, aye, that's because you weren't attracted to them. And she's like, no. And Chris said, no, like, you're trying to work this story around in your favour. Like, you weren't attracted to them. You told me you weren't attracted to them. And he was so right. Like, that's something that quite a lot of women do. Like, they try and twist the story to make it look as if they're in the right. And she did say that she wasn't attracted to them. So why would she want to go on a date or have chats with people that she didn't like? But now all of a sudden she's making it look as if she was doing a favour by not talking to them. I actually felt bad for Chris as well. So somebody received a text and Josh was like, oh, it's getting real now, or it's just starting now, or whatever. And it's just total lad mentality. I fucking can't stand them. Him and Toby need to take themselves to fuck. So they were told who Sophie and Tom's got to be paired up with. So Sophie get paired up with Josh, right? Poor her. And then Tom get paired up with Molly. And you could see that Georgia S was quite sad, but Callum's probably like inside, like, yay. Obviously that's not going to stop him from chatting to people. Let me know in the comments who's your favourite and who do you think needs to go. I think Mitch is a wee skis bag and he has to go. Josh and Toby are just such lads, they need to go. I mean, they'd be as well just sucking each other at this point. Even though I think he's a compulsive liar, I really want Anton to find somebody nice and see what happens when he comes out the house. Will he come out and go back with that girl off Instagram, or will he actually stay with somebody for once?